Hi, it's Sari. So I just wanted to pop on just to share something with you. Kind of like, I suppose, an insight that I had a while ago, and something that maybe I take for granted that people know, but actually, from some of the questions that I get asked, particularly on my courses, and also I was thinking more, you may have seen a post earlier about saying I've recruited my daughter to do some videos on the coaching preteens and teens program because they can get stressed around times of exams or times where it's big change for them. And this is what made me think of this, because often what we can do is we have this set idea about how we get stressed. And I talk a lot about, it's the thoughts that we have that then go on to create the feelings. And that's what then creates those feelings. There's, hi Denise, those physiological, hi Catherine, feelings of stress and anxiety. But it's not always just negative thoughts that can create those feelings of stress. And you might think, well, why would having positive thoughts or quite neutral thoughts as such create stress? Surely it's just the negative thoughts. Well, it's not, because what can create overwhelm isn't just the type of thought, it can also just be as a result of having a really, really busy mind. So, for example, I ended up in hospital last week in A&E with an issue, like a gastric issue. Anyway, it's nothing major. But then I also had some things planned, celebrations for my birthday afterwards. And even though they were things that I was really looking forward to and would have been really lovely and enjoyable, now I did do some stuff and I'll make up for it, don't you worry. But even though they were nice things and they weren't like horrible, irrational thoughts about, or something bad's going to happen if I have a party, or something bad's going to happen if I have friends around, it wasn't irrational, negative thoughts. But what I was reminded of is that when we are maybe vulnerable in some way, so for me, when I've been ill in any way, shape or form, I don't deal too well with it. I don't like it. I like to be full of the joys of spring. I like to be what I see as in control, even though I'm not, by the way. And I don't deal too well with feeling unwell. And so then my mind starts, when will it go? How long will it stay? Lots of thoughts. Now, they're not really scary thoughts, because at no point did I believe that I'd be ill forevermore or anything like that. But then what starts to happen is, oh, well, I've got this coming on this day and I need to feel better for that day. And I need to, and start putting then expectations and conditions on how you feel. Now, again, they weren't negative thoughts. They were thoughts. Some of it was excitement and thinking about how I was looking forward to being around all of my friends and spending good quality time with them. Like, that was exciting. But I was finding myself feeling more stressed and more anxious because my mind would just felt really busy with lots to think about. And I was thinking about things more so than maybe I would have done if I wasn't feeling physically unwell. So I just wanted to kind of give you that example really as a reminder that, people will often say to me, well, I don't understand why I'm stressed or anxious because I'm not having anxious thoughts. Because when I talk about anxious thoughts creating anxious feelings, they say, well, I'm not having any anxious thoughts. They might not be really irrational, horrible, negative thoughts that you're having. Even if there's lots of things that, some of it's nice stuff and things you're looking forward to, it doesn't mean that that's not creating a business in your mind that then is having a reaction on you physically and your feelings. So it doesn't always have to be. I think we have this misconception that all of our thinking has to be really negative or irrational or scary for us to feel stressed. But it doesn't. What I realised was, when you're feeling vulnerable or physically not 100%, then that's all linked to your mind. And then so then having lots of things to think about or feel like to organise or to have to plan or was kind of a little bit detrimental. So that's when my mind and my wisdom kicked in and thought, why do it now then? Why not just do it in a few weeks? Like, I'm 40 for a whole year. Like, I've got 360, however, oh, well, not that many now, but 350 day, I don't know. But it's not the end of the world. Okay, it might be a little bit disappointing for a moment, but it's not worth having lots of things on your mind to worry about or to think about. Not worry about in the sense of them being negative, but just have a really busy mind. Like, realise that what was needed for my body and for everything else was for my mind to quieten. And so making the decision to do that has been really helpful. But I just wanted to share that because I know that people have this misconception that it's all got to be really negative thoughts. You know, people can get overwhelmed before going on holiday, for example, even though they're really excited, because they may have been just lots of thoughts about everything that you need to do and get sorted before you go away. So again, you know, it's not just negative, irrational thoughts that can create us to have feelings of stress. It can just be a really, really busy mind. And some of that busyness may be created from thoughts that are not particularly negative. So just saying, you've been anxious because you've got a loose bottom tooth, made you ill for weeks, so put the beige one in, but have to put the metal allergic, so was upset. Well, I'm not 100% sure then, so what you're saying, so you were worried about having a loose tooth and then what might have to happen for that. Like, whatever it is that we worry about, there's always an option, there's always a solution, and we might not know what those solutions are because it might be that other professionals, like a dentist or somebody else, knows what the solutions are that we don't know. So again, it's just about, rather than worrying about how it might, to have it taken out, okay, to worry what has to happen, that, you know, it's kind of one of those things that let other people do that for you. Let other people make those decisions because they know best, because that's what they're trained to do, and that's what they're, you know, they're dealing with it. They're pulling teeth out on a daily basis. So it's something that they do a lot, but obviously it's not something that happens, hopefully, individually to us a lot. So that creates potentially a lot of anxious thinking about it. But again, it's this thing of busying our minds, and it's not always negative. It can be sometimes positive, but if there's just feels, I was having a conversation with a friend this morning on the phone, and one of the things I was saying is, you know, everybody can look for solutions and to diagnose themselves and have an idea of what's wrong with them and then what they need to do in order to get better. And yet half the time we're just missing the obvious. So historically, with the example I gave at the beginning of this, for me, I might have gone, well, oh, okay, so I'm physically not feeling that great, and then it makes me feel a little bit anxious, so maybe I need to do this, maybe I need to do that, how do I, and then Googling it and all of this sort of stuff and coming up with solutions, when all I had to do was really simple, and my mind and wisdom kicked in to go, you just need to put a few things on hold for a couple of weeks and just plod along, and quieten that mind. And even within like a day of doing that, the difference is massive. But in the past, that could have gone on for a very long time because I wouldn't have just settled. I'd have wanted to figure it all out. Completely figured it all out. And obviously, no surprise, would never ever have actually got the answer. So yeah, so I just wanted to share that with you because I do think we can get really kind of caught up in, you know, oh, well, I need this fix and I need this and I need that and I need to work out what's wrong with me. When actually, 9 times out of 10, if you just slow down, if you just slow that mind down, whatever that takes, it might mean saying no to things, it might mean putting things off and just slowing down to just, you know, again, I thought, well, I could still have had friends round, for example, and I would have enjoyed seeing them, I'm sure. But actually, I wouldn't have been doing it for me then because I'd rather do it when I'm feeling much better and I can fully embrace it and enjoy it. And why not? So you could say that's quite selfish, actually, for me to rearrange plans for everybody else as well. But then, you know, if we're not a bit selfish sometimes, like that's again where things get on top of us because, you know, why can't we be? So yeah, so just wanted to share that. And I've had a couple of emails or messages over this weekend already about the 1 week online course. I do still have spaces this week for that. It's coming up to school holidays, and my daughter's not quite finished yet. So I am a bit more thin on the ground, but I do still have some space. And also anyone that has anxious teens or pre-teens, so from about the age of 10 onwards, I have a coaching program going live for those, and I'm thinking if anybody wants to help their children but don't necessarily always feel like they have the time, then maybe the holidays would be a good time. It's just literally a video a day or video every other day, depending on how you want to do it. And for you to, there's guidance for you as well, and then also just to ask as many questions as you want. So yeah, so just send me a message if you've got any questions at all about that. And hopefully you're all having a nice weekend, and I will catch up with you at some point, if not before the end of the weekend next week. Okay, take care. Bye for now.